me ask you a question. What do you get when you combine Ruger and Magpul in the same pistol? You get the RXM. And if you told me that was going to be at that $400 price range, I might say, no way, there's not a chance that that's actually real. But it is. So welcome back to Classic Firearms. I'm Brandon. Let's go ahead and dive on in. Without further ado, let's go ahead and start with the tip. Right up front, you have a single white dot as your sight, which is actually a night sight as well. That is going to be fantastic, especially because you have blacked out rears. Now, some people like blacked out rears, some people like the 3 white dots. Depends on if you come from Glock shooting or not, I suppose. However, you do get raised sights no matter what. So these sights are going to be able to co-witness, if you can see that there. Very, very nice. It is also cut for a dot. So a lot of features kind of right out the box there, especially for that price point. Now, the slide and the mechanics are designed by Ruger themselves, while the grip portion is what is made by Magpul. This whole thing is modular, which is really cool. So if you don't like the way that this feels in your hand, you take it out, you go run a few rounds down the range, you're like, I think it could be improved. Good news. You can just swap it out. They're coming out with more. There's a few available options on the market already, but there'll be more and more as time goes on because this whole platform is modular, so you can change most everything about it if you really wanted to. Heading back up to that top of the slide, you do have some front side serrations. They are moderately aggressive, but they do get the job done and are very easy to actuate this pistol. You also have some rear slide serrations. Again, they're going to be moderately aggressive, good enough texture, and good enough grip to be able to use them as you need. Now, some of you eagle-eyed viewers out there might have noticed that this looks pretty similar to a Glock. Some may call it a clone, some may say it's designed after it, or inspired by, or just using their parts, however you want to say it. It is similar. It does use Glock mags right out of the box, which is quite nice, so you have tons of mag options right away. Now, moving down to the polymer portion of the pistol, you do have a Picatinny rail with one crossbar slot, so you can put a light or a laser or a combination of the both, whatever suits your fancy there, on that pick rail. Your trigger guard, of course, follows back. It's that slightly ovalish shape that we've all come to know for most trigger guards, and then, of course, you have that trigger. Now, above that, you do have a little bit of a moderately aggressive. It's the same texturing that you're going to get on the grip itself, right where your index finger and on the other side where your thumb will go. And there's a little bit of shelf as well. So if this is your first pistol you've ever bought, or if you're looking at buying this as maybe a second pistol, or just new to the pistol game in general and want to practice, even for seasoned shooters, it's nice to have something. I don't have to look. I know exactly where to put my fingers when I'm presenting out. Quite nice, quite awesome. It was a good addition by them. By Magpul, I guess, I suppose, at that point. Now, down to the trigger. These firearms are always unloaded before we ever start a video, but I do like to show clear and remove the mag. The trigger itself does feel pretty good. It does feel there's a little bit of take up there, and then you do hit a pretty clearly defined wall. You start to pull through that wall, there's a little bit of movement, and then bang. It breaks and pushes your finger all the way to the back of the trigger guard. That reset, you'll push it forward just a little bit here. Try to do it really slowly so you can see it, get a good zoom on it. And then the reset's right about there, and then bang again. So overall, this feels more like a combat trigger, not necessarily a performance or a competition style trigger. So it has its use case there as something that's going to be a defensive pistol. You don't always want a super light trigger on a defensive pistol, which is definitely what they were targeting there. Your left-hand slide release is resemblant of a Glock, take that as you will, as well as your takedown levers. It's exactly identical. So you do have that there. Now on to the actual mag release itself. That mag release is not necessarily raised out past the firearm itself. It doesn't poke out, which is great, but there is a little notch in there, so you can actually get to that mag release pretty nicely. So it almost feels like an extended mag release. You're not going to miss it whenever you're going for it. You know it's there because you have aggressively, or that moderately aggressively texturing right here, and then it goes smooth. So you can really feel exactly when you're about to get to that mag release without looking at it. You just know exactly where you're at. Overall, it's a good design. Now onto that grip. Again, you have that moderately aggressively textured grip on all 4 sides. Now, you do have a smooth portion here and a little bit of a finger groove for that finger that's going to go underneath, that middle finger, which does help you keep that grip. So if you're putting a lot of rounds down range, it's just a little bit more security on that purchase of the firearm when you're holding it. Moving on, you do get some pretty cool things in the box. As you kind of saw a little bit earlier, you do get the box that does give you the Magpul and Ruger combo logos on it, which is pretty cool. It's also a harder shell box. It is a little bit on the flexible side, but it does have a locking mechanism, so if you wanted to put a lock on this case, it is going to secure it a little bit there. You do get an extra magazine in the box. These are 15-round magazines, so that's always a good thing. They do give you something in the box extra beyond what you already have. You do also have a wrench and locator pins, so if you wanted to, again, swap out that the top with a different optic, or you wanted to put something on there, you do have some of those tools in the box to be able to do that right away. One final note about the pistol that I did want to touch on before we get to the review. The pistol does have a slightly flared mag well. If you can see that in there, it's just slightly flared out. That's always nice. Obviously, it's going to help you whenever you're going for those reloads. If you miss a little bit, it helps guide you in, for those who may not know. Beyond that, I wanted to kind of recap everything that we just talked about. So, you have a Magpul Ruger combo pistol. That's obviously number one, with a 4-inch barrel. So, it's kind of right in that compact Glock 19 size. Then, beyond that, you have raised sights. You have a night sight on the front, which is quite nice, so you can co-witness with a red dot that you might want to put on there. You have two 15-round magazines, so the capacity of the pistol is 15 plus 1, and they are 9mm rounds, if I didn't say that already. That front sight is tritium, in case you were wondering, and it is using the RMR footprint for that red dot, so you know kind of where to start your search there, or if you already have an RMR optic, that'll fit right on there. The overall length of the pistol is going to be 7.15 inches, while the height is 5.31 inches tall. So it is a more compact pistol, not super long, not super big, so you can use this as an everyday carry as well as a defensive gun. Finally, you have the width of 1 inch flat and a weight of 23.2 inches overall. And final note is the twist weight is 1 in 10 right hand, in case you were wondering. So with that being said, if you have any experiences with the Ruger RXM, please leave a review down below. We would love to see your comments. I will be there responding and looking at all those comments. Just curious what you guys have to say. This just came out, so I really want to hear what you have to say about it. That is all I have for you today. God bless. Stay safe. It is time to end. Now, I want to go see how this thing fires.